Nebraska hangs on to defeat Cincinnati 20-17 in a game that, quite frankly, goes the other way for Nebraska in recent years. Perhaps this is a sign of things to come for the Cornhuskers. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football. We talk football year round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like this video and answer the question in the comments below. Did you expect Nebraska to blow this game there at the end? Because it felt like just as soon as the Huskers had done enough to really secure a victory where they mostly controlled the game, Brendan Sorsby and that rushing offense was going to have their way in a game that I didn't always think was going to go for Nebraska. Now, I think when we're talking about Nebraska, let's start with positives. Dylan Raiola played outstandingly for me, man. Completed more than 78% of his passes, 33 of 42 for 243 with 2 TDs. We're getting to find out that Neziah Hunter might actually be a dude. 6 catches, 65 yards, and a TD. Dane Key, another pickup in the transfer portal for them coming from Kentucky, had 6 catches for 51 yards and a TD. I mean, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 players with 5 or more catches, making sure I get there as I'm noting all the guys that made catches in this game. 33 passes caught, but really we're talking about 4 players being responsible for 24 of those passes. I was really impressed by Lindenmeyer. That is Luke Lindenmeyer, who's playing tight end. He really stepped up in a way that I did not expect for the Nebraska tight end to feature, especially in a Dana Holgorsen offense. This being the first showcase that Dana Holgorsen has had where he's had a full offseason, a full preseason camp with the offense, with Dylan Raiola, and there's a lot that was said about Dylan Raiola coming into this. I think we spent a little too much time, or maybe Roddy Jones just a little too hype about Taylor Swift being in the stands at Arrowhead alongside her fiance, Travis Kelce, who went to Cincinnati, so that makes a lot of sense. Patrick Mahomes, who's the supporter of Dylan Raiola, his wife Brittany were there, so that's cool to see. If you are a Cincinnati fan, perhaps you're looking at Taylor Swift going, yo, can you help us raise a little bit of money for this buyout that we're going to need for Scott Satterfield? It's looking around, I believe it's like $12 million, give or take. He's in a prove-it year. It looked like they had some things going on, but that passing game for them needs to pick up because it was really atrocious. I mean, I'm looking at stats here for Brendan Sorsby. The good is the man ran the ball 13 times for 97 yards. That's not bad. 7.5 yards per carry. As a matter of fact, 2 different players, including Tyree Walker, averaged better than 7 yards per carry, and they rushed for over 200 yards against that Nebraska defense. But he was just 13 to 26 for 68 yards with a pick throwing the ball. That's 2.6 yards per completion, or excuse me, per attempt, not per completion. So if you're Nebraska, you're looking at this going, okay, our rushing offense could be better, but our passing defense was great, particularly when Hartzog made the game-sealing interception, as it looked like Cincinnati was driving into field goal territory, looking like they could tie this thing up and steal a victory from Nebraska. What looked like it was supposed to be a home game for the Huskers. A lot of red in the stands, but that's how Nebraska travels. 400 consecutive sellouts they've had. And Cincinnati must be feeling some kind of way about letting this game get away from them, as Nebraska scored 13 points in the second quarter, and that really did prove to be the difference, as they were held scoreless in the first and the third, and Cincinnati was able to get on the board in 3 out of 4 quarters. Really, I think that this is an escape win for Nebraska. Perhaps you don't put this one on the wall as a signature victory, but 1-0 is still 1-0, especially with a non-conference win against a Big 12 opponent. As we get deeper into Nebraska season, this is actually one of those games that we expected them to win, right? We expected them to be a little bit better than decent as it goes into this thing. And I'm not afraid of saying it's past time for Nebraska to be quote-unquote back. And as much as folks like me have a job saying, hey, we feel like Nebraska's going to be good this year, I understand why people might feel that that's poppycock because they've seen it year in, year out. But now they're 1-0. They get Akron next week, which last time I checked was holding Wyoming in check. That game might have actually gotten out of hand as they were down just a single score to Wyoming at the time. Then they got Houston Baptist, and then we get into the nitty-gritty. Number 14, Michigan, who will be coming off of a week after having played Oklahoma. You're Michigan State, then you're at Maryland, you're at Minnesota, who got the 4.5 now from Buffalo before pulling it out earlier this evening. Northwestern, you can win that game. USC, I think you can win that game. UCLA, you ought to win that game. Penn State, we'll see about that one. Iowa, we'll see about that one too. But I feel as if it's the magic year, like everybody else. Matt Rule looks like he even lost a little weight there on the sideline. I feel good for him. I feel good about this. They're launching their own podcast where they feel like they can do a better job of selling who the Huskers are in 2025 and who they expect to be going forward. We know about the history from Nebraska. We know that Nebraska should be looking down their noses at a program like Cincinnati, even being what it has been in the last few years, particularly with Luke Fickell. It just ain't been that with Scott Satterfield, who really does need to go bowling, if nothing else, to be able to keep his job, and this is not going to help him out with that. I think as we were learning that they could run the football and Brendan Sorsby could do damage that way, he kept going to it. And it just came down to his defense not being able to get a stop against the Huskers when they needed to get a stop against the Huskers. And I got to credit Dylan Raiola for making good decisions with that. He didn't hold the ball so long, but he took 3 sacks. All of those sacks I thought were sacks he should have taken as opposed to throwing the ball away. I'm also looking at the plays here. Man, look, it's difficult to be, shall we say, negatively critiquing the Nebraska offense. I felt the game plan was good. They had 23 first downs. They were 10 of 18 on third down. That's a nasty number. It's a nasty number because you got 18 third down attempts and you converted more than half of them. You'll take that every day of the week. 1 of 2 on fourth down, 353 total yards, 243 through the air, 110 on the ground. Emmett Johnson has become your dude. That is the guy, right? Over 100 yards in this game, 25 rushes, 108 yards. Really did help you get out of some nasty situations in there. And both teams actually played pretty clean football. 4 penalties for 20 yards for the Bearcats and 3 penalties for 27 for the Huskers. And the Huskers spent most of their time inside of Cincinnati's 50-yard line, which is where you want your offense to be doing business. Also not going to put up a whole bunch of yards there. So when you put up 340 or 353, I'm going to say that you did a pretty damn good job. I'm going to say that you're doing all right. Again, 42 passes is not necessarily what you're going to want, I think, from Dylan Raiola. But if you're looking at Dana Holgorsen and how he's called offenses in the past, it's in keeping what he's been able to do. Is this Brandon Whedon and Justin Blackman in them in 2011? No, it's not, but it's developing, right? And Isaiah Hunter, Dane Key, Emmett Johnson, Dylan Raiola, you're seeing the pieces that are coming there. Lindenmeyer coming up big. The defense gets to where they can stop the run a little bit better, particularly the +1 game of Brendan Sorsby, who led the Big 12 in rushing TDs last year, by the way, so that's not any slouch. They're going to be fine. They really are. I don't think it is out of the question for them to go bowling. They did that last year. I think what we're really talking about with Nebraska is if they hit their potential, 9-10 wins. And at 10 wins, you could probably make the college football playoff, but we'll just need to see. I'm thinking that this is a huge win. You played on national television. You played on Thursday night. You're in the primetime game. You got Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes in the audience. And Roddy Jones just can't not talk about it as much as we wanted to not talk about it because there's actually a pretty damn good football game going on down there. Really good Thursday night game. I think this is indicative of what we can expect from Nebraska in the future. You let me know if you think the same in the comments below.